My wife, Serafina, was draining our savings for secret affairs while I, Elias Thorne, worked overtime to keep us afloat. The night she came home from another business dinner, she found every trace of me erased from existence. But vanishing was just the opening move. What I did next left them both with nothing. My name is Elias Thorne. I'm 47 years old. And until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had a solid marriage, 2 great kids, and a life worth fighting for. Turns out I was fighting alone. I work as a systems engineer for Nexus Systems here in New Haven, Connecticut. Been there 12 years. Decent salary, good benefits. The kind of job that lets you sleep at night knowing your family's taken care of. My wife, Serafina, works at Ethel Financial as a project manager. She's smart, ambitious, and apparently very good at keeping secrets. Our oldest, Maximus, is 17 and everything you'd want in a teenage son. Honor roll, varsity baseball, planning for college. He's got his mother's sharp mind, and I used to think her integrity. Our youngest, Leo, is 13 and lives in his own world. Autism hit him hard around age 4, and since then, our lives have revolved around specialists, therapies, and the constant worry that we're not doing enough. Leo needs structure, routine, and expensive treatments that insurance covers about, as well as a paper umbrella covers you in a hurricane. That's where the money goes, or where I thought it went. 3 weeks ago, I was organizing our tax documents when I found receipts that didn't add up. Dinner for 2 at restaurants I'd never been to. Charges at jewelry stores during hours when Serafina claimed to be in budget meetings. A hotel bill from last month when she said she was visiting her sister in Boston. I sat in my home office surrounded by evidence of a life I no longer recognized and felt something die inside me. Not break, not shatter, just quietly stop beating. The smart play would have been to confront her immediately, ask questions, demand answers, maybe salvage whatever was left. But I've learned something about myself in 47 years. I'm not the kind of man who fights for scraps of attention. I'm the kind who plans, who thinks, who makes sure that when I move, it counts. So, I started watching, listening, taking notes like I was debugging faulty code at work. Every late night, every weekend conference call that required her to drive to the office in full makeup. Every time she smiled at her phone and quickly put it away when I entered the room, the pattern emerged cleaner than any system analysis I'd ever run at Nexus Systems. Serafina wasn't just cheating on me. She was funding it with money meant for our son's future. That's when I stopped being the good husband and started being something else entirely. The surveillance started simple. I began checking our joint credit card statements every evening after putting Leo to bed. What I found made my stomach turn, but not from surprise, from the methodical nature of it all. Serafina wasn't just having an affair. She was living a double life, and she was using our son's medical fund to finance it. Tuesday nights became her regular pattern. Late strategy sessions with an Ethel Financial team, she'd say, kissing my cheek and grabbing her expensive purse, the one I bought her for Christmas 2 years ago, back when I thought those kinds of gestures mattered. I started following the digital trail. Restaurant charges at places like the Sterling Bistro and the Azure Loft, upscale joints where she'd never taken me, not even for our anniversary. Hotel room charges at the Grand Regency Hotel downtown, always on nights when she claimed to be working late at the office. The breaking point came when I found a jewelry store receipt. $800 for a men's watch. When I asked Serafina about it, she didn't even blink. "It's for Maximus's graduation gift," Serafina said, not looking up from her laptop. I wanted to get something nice. But Maximus's graduation wasn't for 6 months, and I'd already seen him wearing his grandfather's old watch that he treasured. She was lying to my face with the same calm voice she used to discuss Leo's therapy schedule. That night after she fell asleep, I went through her phone. The password was Leo's birthday, a sick irony that wasn't lost on me. What I found in her messages with someone labeled JV told me everything I needed to know. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. The reservation at the Sterling Bistro is set for 7. Thanks for the beautiful watch. You have such good taste. Elias is working late again. We have a whole evening." JV, Julian Vance, her boss, the vice president of Ethel Financial, the man who'd sat at our dinner table last Christmas, talking about company values and family priorities while planning to destroy mine. I screenshotted everything and emailed the evidence to a private account I set up. Then I put her phone back and lay in bed next to my wife, staring at the ceiling and planning my next move. The following evening, I called my brother Marcus and asked if I could stop by his auto shop after hours. "Sure thing," Marcus said over the phone. "Everything all right, Elias?" "I need to ask you a favor," I said, watching Serafina get ready for another team meeting in the bathroom mirror. "And I need you to keep it between us." Marcus had always been the practical one in our family. When our dad passed 5 years ago, Marcus handled all the arrangements while I fell apart. If anyone would understand what I was planning, it would be him. That night, I drove to Marcus's shop and laid out everything. The receipts, the phone messages, the pattern of lies that had been building for months. Marcus listened without interrupting, his weathered hands folded on his workbench. "What do you need from me?" Marcus asked when I finished. "Storage space," I said, "and maybe a place to crash when the time comes." Marcus nodded slowly. "She's really throwing it all away, isn't she? The marriage, the family, everything you built together." "She already threw it away," I replied. "I'm just cleaning up the mess." The next morning, I called in sick to Nexus Systems for the first time in 3 years. I had work to do, and I couldn't wait. While Serafina was at Ethel Financial, probably planning her next rendezvous with Julian, I was systematically dismantling our shared life. I started with the important documents: birth certificates, insurance papers, Leo's medical records. Everything went into a fireproof box that I loaded into my truck. Maximus was at school and Leo was at his Tuesday therapy session with Dr. Ingrid Olsen, which gave me a 4-hour window. I moved through our house like a man preparing for war, because in a way, that's exactly what this was. The hardest part was Leo's room, his sensory toys, his weighted blanket, the special lamp that helped him sleep. I couldn't take everything without traumatizing him, but I photographed every item and made detailed notes about his routines. If this went to court, I'd need proof that I was the primary caregiver. I found more evidence in Serafina's jewelry box. A platinum bracelet I'd never seen before, obviously expensive. The receipt was tucked underneath, dated last month. Another gift from Julian, paid for with our family's money. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Storage unit is ready. Unit 47. Combination is Leo's birthday." I loaded my truck with boxes and drove to Marcus's shop. He was waiting with a cup of coffee and a grim expression. "How you holding up?" Marcus asked, helping me unload. "I'm focused," I replied. "That's what matters right now." Marcus nodded approvingly. "Good. Falling apart comes later, after you've won." We stored everything in the climate-controlled unit Marcus had rented under his name. As we locked it up, I felt a strange sense of relief. For the first time in months, I had control over something. That afternoon, I picked up Leo from therapy. Dr. Olsen pulled me aside before we left. "Elias, I wanted to discuss Leo's progress," Dr. Olsen said. "He's been asking about changes at home. Children with autism are very sensitive to disruption." "What kind of changes?" I asked, though I suspected I already knew. "He's mentioned that Mommy is sad, and that you and Mommy don't talk like you used to," Dr. Olsen explained. "Has there been tension at home?" I looked at Leo, who was carefully organizing his toy cars by color, completely absorbed in his task. My son was already sensing that his world was about to change. "Dr. Olsen, can I ask you something confidentially?" I said. "Of course. If there were to be custody issues, what would be Leo's best interests?" Dr. Olsen studied my face carefully. "Leo thrives on routine and stability. He's most comfortable with his primary caregiver, which from what I've observed, has always been you." I felt a surge of validation. At least someone recognized that I was the one who truly took care of my son. "I'll keep that in mind," I said. That evening, Serafina came home late again, full of apologies and explanations about a client emergency. I nodded and smiled, playing the part of the understanding husband while mentally cataloging another lie. As she kissed Leo goodnight, I watched her performance with new eyes. She was going through the motions, checking boxes, but her heart wasn't in it. Her heart was somewhere else entirely. After she fell asleep, I sat in my home office and began drafting the most important document of my life, a detailed account of everything I discovered, with evidence attached. Tomorrow, I take it to Eleanor Croft, the family attorney Marcus had recommended. The war was about to begin. The morning I vanished from my own life. I woke up at 5 a.m. and made coffee like it was any other Tuesday. Serafina was still asleep, and the house was quiet except for the familiar sounds of our neighborhood coming to life. I'd been planning this moment for 2 weeks, ever since my meeting with Eleanor Croft confirmed what I already knew. I had enough evidence to destroy both Serafina and Julian if I played it right. By 6 a.m., I had 3 moving boxes packed with my essential belongings loaded in my truck. The rest of my stuff was already in Marcus's storage unit. I left behind only the things that would make my absence obvious. My favorite coffee mug, my reading chair, the family photos where I appeared. Maximus left for school at 7:15, same as always. I hugged him a little longer than usual. "Dad, you okay?" Maximus asked, pulling back to look at my face. "I'm fine, son. Just proud of the man you're becoming." Maximus smiled and headed out the door, completely unaware that everything was about to change. Leo's routine was sacred, so I maintained it perfectly. Breakfast at 7:30, cartoon time while I got his backpack ready, and then the drive to his specialized school program. "Are we going home after school, Daddy?" Leo asked as I walked him to his classroom. "You're going home," I said carefully. "Ms. Evelyn Reed will pick you up today, remember?" Leo nodded. I'd arranged for a neighbor to get him after school and stay with him until Serafina returned from her dinner with Julian. I couldn't let my son come home to an empty house and panic. At 8:45, I was back home. Serafina was in the shower getting ready for another day of lies and betrayal. I could hear her singing softly, probably thinking about her evening plans. I moved through the house one final time, erasing myself methodically, my tools from the garage, my books from the living room shelves, even my prescription medications from the bathroom cabinet. By 9:30, Serafina was dressed and having her morning coffee. "I might be late tonight," Serafina said, not meeting my eyes. "Julian wants the whole team to attend this networking dinner." "Of course he does," I replied evenly. She kissed my cheek and left for work, completely oblivious to the fact that she'd never see me in that house again. I spent the day completing my exit strategy, final bank transfers, post office box setup, and a long conversation with Eleanor Croft about what would happen next. "Are you sure about this approach?" Eleanor asked. "It's dramatic." "She's been dramatic for months," I replied. "I'm just responding in kind." At 6 p.m., I placed my wedding ring on Serafina's bedside table, right next to her expensive perfume, another gift I'd never bought her. Then I loaded the last box into my truck and drove to Marcus's place. At 8:15, I received a text from Ms. Evelyn Reed. "Leo is fed and doing homework. Everything's normal here." At 9:43, my phone started ringing. Serafina's number flashed on the screen as she came back from dinner with her boss and found every trace of me erased from the house. I let it ring. My phone buzzed 17 times in the first hour. I sat in Marcus's living room, watching Serafina's name flash across the screen like a desperate strobe light, but I didn't answer. Each unanswered call was another nail in the coffin of her carefully constructed double life. Marcus brought me a beer and settled into his recliner. "How long you going to let her sweat?" "Long enough for her to understand what she's lost," I replied, taking a sip. "She's probably tearing the house apart right now, looking for some explanation that doesn't involve her facing the truth." The first voicemail came at 10:15 p.m. Serafina's voice was controlled, professional, like she was leaving a message for a client. "Elias, I don't know what's going on, but this isn't funny. Call me back immediately. Leo's asking for you, and I don't know what to tell him." I deleted it without finishing. The second voicemail, 20 minutes later, had a different tone entirely. "Where the hell are you? Your clothes are gone. Your computer's gone. Even your coffee maker is missing. If you think you can just disappear without explaining yourself, you're insane. I'm calling the police." Let her call them. I hadn't done anything illegal. Unlike her, who'd been stealing from our son's medical fund to finance her affair. Marcus glanced at my phone as it buzzed again. "She's persistent. I'll give her that. Desperation makes people persistent, I said. She's probably realizing that Julian isn't going to leave his wife for her. And now she's lost me, too. The third voicemail arrived just after midnight. This time, Serafina was crying. Elias, please. I know you're angry about something, but we can work this out. Leo had a meltdown when he couldn't find you. He's sleeping in our bed now, asking when Daddy's coming home. Please just call me back for Leo's sake. That one hit harder than I expected. My son needed routine, stability, but I couldn't provide that while living a lie. The boy deserved a father who stood up for himself and for their family's future. My phone rang again. This time it wasn't Serafina. It was Maximus. Dad, where are you? Mom's freaking out. She keeps saying you disappeared. But people don't just disappear. Maximus, I need you to listen carefully, I said. I'm safe and I'm not far away, but I can't come home right now. Why not? What's going on? I closed my eyes, hating that my 17-year-old son was getting dragged into this mess. Your mother and I have some serious problems to work out. I'll explain everything when I can. But right now, I need you to take care of Leo. Dad, he's been crying for an hour. He doesn't understand why you're not here for bedtime stories. Tell him I love him and that sometimes grown-ups have to make hard decisions to protect the people they care about. Maximus was quiet for a moment. Does this have something to do with Mom's boss? Smart kid, too smart for his own good sometimes. Just take care of your brother, I said. I'll be in touch soon. After I hung up, Marcus shook his head. This is tougher than you thought it would be. The right thing usually is, I replied. But I'm not backing down. She made her choice when she started stealing from Leo's medical fund to buy gifts for her lover. At 1 a.m., Serafina left her final voicemail of the night. Her voice was hoarse from crying, broken in a way I'd never heard before. Elias, I know why you left. I know you found out about Julian. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but please come home. We'll figure this out together. Don't punish the kids because of my mistakes. Too little, too late. She was only sorry because she got caught. I woke up on Marcus's couch at dawn, my neck stiff and my phone silent. For a moment, I felt peaceful. No Leo jumping on the bed asking for pancakes. No Serafina rushing around getting ready to lie to me again. Then reality hit. I missed my son's morning routine. I missed helping him pick out clothes and making sure he had a special lunch bag for school. Marcus appeared in the kitchen doorway, already dressed for work. Coffee's ready. How you feeling? Like I just burned down my own house, I admitted. Sometimes that's the only way to rebuild on solid ground, Marcus said, handing me a mug. What's the plan today? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Dr. Ingrid Olsen's number appeared on screen. Dr. Olsen, is everything all right? Elias, I'm calling because Leo missed his morning session, Dr. Olsen said. Serafina brought him in, but he's extremely agitated. He keeps asking for you, and his stress levels are affecting his ability to participate in therapy. I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. How bad is it? He's having difficulty with verbal communication and showing signs of regression. Children with autism don't handle sudden changes well, as you know. Dr. Olsen, I need to ask you something. If I were to request emergency custody evaluation, would you be willing to testify about Leo's primary caregiver? There was a long pause. Elias, are you and Serafina divorcing? Most likely yes. And I need to make sure Leo's best interests are protected. I would need to review my professional obligations, but yes. I believe Leo's welfare comes first. He's clearly most comfortable with you. After I hung up, Marcus was watching me with a concerned expression. Second thoughts. Marcus asked about leaving Serafina. No, about the impact on Leo every minute. You can't go back to living a lie. Just maintain his routine, Marcus said firmly. Kids are tougher than you think. He'll adjust, especially if he's with a parent who actually takes care of him. At 9 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. She spent the night crying on my couch. Hope you're happy now. Julian Vance. The arrogant piece of garbage actually had the nerve to contact me. I showed the text to Marcus, who laughed bitterly. This guy's got stones. I'll give him that, Marcus said. I typed back a simple reply. Tell her check her email. I prepared something special for this moment. An email containing every piece of evidence I'd gathered about their affair, along with a detailed breakdown of how much money Serafina had stolen from Leo's medical fund to finance their relationship. But I didn't send it to Serafina. I sent it to Ethel Financial's Human Resources Department with Julian's supervisor CC'd on the message. "What did you do?" Marcus asked, seeing my satisfied expression. "I just gave Julian something real to worry about," I said. By noon, he'll be in meetings with HR trying to explain why he's been using his position to manipulate subordinates' wives. My phone rang immediately. Serafina's number. This time I answered. "You sent that email to my company." Serafina's voice was shaking with rage. "How could you do that to me?" "I didn't do anything to you," I replied calmly. "I simply provided documentation of what you did to our family. Julian's career is ruined. They put him on administrative leave." "Good. Maybe he'll have time to think about what happens when you mess with other men's families." Serafina started crying. "Elias, please come home. We'll go to counseling. I'll quit my job. Whatever you want." "What I want," I said, "is for you to stop stealing from our son's medical fund to buy gifts for your boyfriend. What I want is a wife who doesn't lie to my face every single day." I hung up before she could respond. The war had officially begun. 3 days after my disappearance, Eleanor Croft called with news that made my blood boil. "Elias, I've completed the financial analysis you requested," Eleanor said over the phone. "What I found is worse than we thought." I was sitting in Marcus's garage helping him rebuild an engine while trying to keep my mind occupied. "How much worse?" "Serafina has been diverting funds for 8 months, not 6. The total amount stolen from Leo's medical fund is over $12,000. I set down my wrench and closed my eyes. $12,000. That was nearly a year's worth of Leo's specialized therapy sessions. "There's more," Eleanor continued. "I found credit card charges for expensive gifts that coincide exactly with Julian Vance's birthday and the anniversary of his promotion. She's been using your son's medical money to buy presents for her lover." "What kind of gifts?" I asked, though part of me didn't want to know. "A custom watch, designer cufflinks, weekend getaways to luxury resorts. All charged to the credit card that's supposed to be for Leo's medical expenses." I felt something cold settle in my chest. This wasn't just infidelity anymore. It was theft from a disabled child. "Eleanor, I want you to file a report with social services." "Elias, that's a serious step." "Are you sure? She's been neglecting Leo's medical needs to fund her affair. That's child endangerment in my book." That afternoon, I drove to Leo's school and watched from the parking lot as Serafina picked him up. She looked exhausted, defeated, but I felt no sympathy. She made her choices. My phone buzzed with a text from Maximus. "Dad, Mom's been crying nonstop. She keeps saying she's sorry and that Julian dumped her. She wants to know if you'll meet with her." I typed back, "Julian dumped her because HR is investigating him. Tell your mother I'll speak with her through my attorney." That evening, Marcus and I were watching the news when my phone rang. Dr. Ingrid Olsen's number. "Elias, I'm calling about Leo's upcoming evaluation with the state." "What evaluation?" "Someone filed a report alleging medical neglect. Leo has been scheduled for a comprehensive assessment to determine if his medical needs are being properly met." I felt a mix of satisfaction and sadness. The wheels were in motion, but my son would have to endure scrutiny because of his mother's selfishness. "Dr. Olsen, will you be honest with the evaluators about Leo's care? I'll tell them the truth, that you've been his primary caregiver and advocate since his diagnosis. The records don't lie, Elias." After I hung up, Marcus looked at me with respect. "You're playing hardball now." "She stole from a disabled child to buy gifts for her boyfriend," I replied. "Hardball is all she deserves." The social services investigation moved faster than I expected. Within a week of Eleanor filing the report, a caseworker named Ms. Harriet Jones arrived at our house to interview Serafina and assess Leo's living situation. I knew because Maximus texted me. "Dad, there's a woman from the state here asking Mom about Leo's medical care. Mom's freaking out." That afternoon, Ms. Jones called me directly. "Mr. Thorne, I need to speak with you about your son Leo's care." "Of course. What do you need to know?" "I've reviewed his medical records, and there's a concerning pattern. Several therapy sessions were canceled due to non-payment, and recommended equipment purchases were delayed for months. That equipment was delayed because my wife was spending the money elsewhere, I said carefully. Can you document that claim? I have 8 months of credit card statements showing medical funds being diverted to restaurants, hotels, and luxury purchases while Leo's therapy bills went unpaid. Ms. Jones was quiet for a moment. Mr. Thorne, would you be available to meet with me tomorrow? I'd like to discuss Leo's best interests. The next day, I met Ms. Jones at a neutral location, a family services office in downtown New Haven. She was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Mr. Thorne, I'll be direct, she said, reviewing a thick folder. Based on my investigation, you appear to have been Leo's primary caregiver while your wife was distracted by other priorities. That's a polite way to put it. The concerning issue is that Leo's medical needs were being compromised. Dr. Olson confirmed that you attend every appointment, manage his therapy schedule, and handle all communication with his medical team. Leo is my priority, I said simply. Ms. Jones nodded. I'm recommending temporary custody be awarded to you pending the outcome of your divorce proceedings. Leo's routine and medical care shouldn't be disrupted further. I felt a surge of relief mixed with sadness. Victory, but at what cost? What about my wife? Ms. Serafina will have supervised visitation until she can demonstrate that she's prioritizing Leo's needs over her personal interests. That evening, I called Maximus to explain what was happening. Dad, does this mean you're coming home? Maximus asked hopefully. Not yet, son, but it means Leo will be coming to stay with me at Uncle Marcus's until we figure out the next steps. What about Mom? I sighed. Your mother made choices that hurt Leo. Now she has to face the consequences. Maximus was quiet for a long moment. I saw the credit card statements, Dad. She spent more on one dinner with her boss than on Leo's therapy equipment. I know, Maximus. I know. Are you going to divorce her? Yes, I said without hesitation. Some things can't be forgiven. 2 months after my disappearance, Ethel Financial terminated Julian Vance for gross misconduct and misuse of company resources. The internal investigation revealed he'd been using corporate accounts to finance relationships with 3 different subordinates' wives over the past 2 years. Eleanor called me with the news while I was helping Leo with his morning therapy exercises in our new apartment. Julian's not just fired, Eleanor said. Ethel Financial is considering criminal charges for embezzlement. Apparently, your wife wasn't his first victim. What about the other families? 2 other divorces are pending. One husband is also seeking custody based on financial neglect of their special needs child. I felt no satisfaction in Julian's downfall, only relief that other families might find justice. The custody hearing went exactly as Eleanor predicted. Ms. Jones's report was devastating for Serafina's case. 8 months of documented medical neglect while she spent thousands on her affair. Your Honor, the judge said, reviewing the evidence. The pattern of behavior shown here demonstrates a clear prioritization of personal gratification over a disabled child's medical needs. Serafina's attorney tried to argue that she'd been manipulated by Julian, but the financial records didn't lie. Every expensive dinner, every hotel stay, every luxury purchase had been her choice. The judge awarded me full custody of Leo, with supervised visitation for Serafina twice a week. After the hearing, Serafina approached me in the hallway. Elias, I know you hate me, but please don't poison Leo against me. I don't hate you, I said, honestly, but I'll never trust you again. Leo needs stability, and I can provide that. Maximus chose to live with me full-time. At 17, he was old enough to make that decision, and he'd seen enough of his mother's lies. Dad, I respect how you handled this. Maximus told me that evening. You didn't lose your temper or do anything crazy. You just gathered facts and let the truth speak for itself. That's what men do, Maximus. We protect our families, even when it's hard. 8 months later, Leo and I have settled into a routine that works. Our apartment is smaller than the house, but it's honest. No lies, no secrets, no wondering what's real. Leo's therapy progress has been remarkable since we eliminated the financial stress. Dr. Olson says his improvement is directly related to having a stable, consistent caregiver who prioritizes his needs. Leo's anxiety levels have decreased significantly. Dr. Olson told me at his latest evaluation. Children with autism thrive when they can trust their environment. Maximus graduated with honors and earned a partial scholarship to New Haven University. He'll live at home his first year, helping with Leo while pursuing his engineering degree. I want to be like you, Dad, Maximus told me. Someone who keeps his word and takes care of his family. Serafina completed her court-ordered counseling and financial accountability courses. She sees Leo twice a week for supervised visits, and she's learning to actually engage with him instead of just going through the motions. She's different now, Maximus observed after one of Leo's visits. Like she finally understands what she lost. I've started seeing Dr. Helena Dubois, who transferred to New Haven from her previous practice. She understands the challenges of raising a special needs child, and she respects the sacrifices I've made for Leo's well-being. You're an exceptional father, Helena told me over dinner last week. Leo is lucky to have someone who fought so hard for his future. Last weekend, Maximus, Leo, and I went fishing at Lake Whitney. Leo caught his first base and spent 20 minutes describing every detail of the experience. Maximus laughed at his brother's excitement, and for a moment, we felt like a complete family again. Daddy, Leo said as we packed up our gear. I like our new life. It's quiet and safe. Me, too, son. Me, too. Looking back, I realized Serafina didn't break our family. She revealed what it really was. A father who would fight for his children, a teenage son with integrity beyond his years, and a special boy who just needed someone to put his needs first. Some endings are actually beginnings. This was one of them.